Well, that's when this is a good.
see it.
Cool.
Show us your
Awesome.
puppies.
All of these guys.
That's what I was trying to do. I don't know if you can see.
I wait.
Let's see if you can see. Can you see any of them?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's cute. Oh my.
So yeah, we're at the puppy wellness checkup right now.
Cool,
Ooh,
cool. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Aaron, you just had you just went under contract. Is that correct?
I know.
Yep.
Could have been later.
The other day, about 4 days ago, Sunday night.
Oh, okay. Is that you? It looks like you're in Florida, but you're actually in a veterinary office. Is that right?
Yeah, it's my background.
Okay. Okay. And is that where the background noise is coming from?
Yeah, in the
Gotcha.
office. That's why I keep pushing you.
No worries. No worries. Well, I would love to hear more about, that the listing that you got under contract and how that all went and everything, if you're able to do it. I understand if you're not right now in the office, that's fine.
I could wait till the end if that's all right. We shouldn't be here too long.
Okay, that's cool. Hey, Fatuma, how are you? You're on mute. There you
I'm
go.
blessed. How are you?
Good. That's all right. That's all right. Are you cooking a loaf of bread? What are you doing in the kitchen there?
Getting ready to make some sourdough beef pizza.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, hello, Kristen.
Kristen.
You see what it says on the screen?
No, it says you on my screen.
Okay, that's when I look at your face on your screen, it says Kristen under there.
Yeah. That's my
Yeah.
that's my full name. Yeah.
Okay, but you don't. So does anybody call you Kristen anymore?
That's how I'm licensed. So I sign everything, Kristen
Gotcha.
J. Johnson. Yeah, but no, not
Okay.
no one calls me Kristen. Used to call me Chrissy. But
Okay.
even my dad, yeah, that's no longer. I've got one friend who's like 85 years old. That's when she met me. That's what everyone was calling me. And
Yeah.
that was back
Yeah.
in 1979. That's been a long time ago.
That is a while.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be Dave in the 80s, and all my friends from that time period still call me that. And
Yeah.
it's always weird, strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Rachel, for jumping on today. Good to see you. All right. Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about today. Thanks for joining. So I had a home that I listed, and the second person to see it came in with a full priced offer, and then another person came in with a full priced offer, and we were able to get one of those offers up to increase about 3% on the price. And when I got both of those offers, and this is especially for the newer agents, one of the first things I did was of course, to confirm everything. And also want to say that these offers, one offer came in at 10:30 at night. The other offer came in at 7:30 in the morning, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But one thing I always do if I am representing a buyer and I make an offer, I'm calling that listing agent first. I want to talk to them. I want to, for a couple of different reasons. One, I want to begin to develop a relationship. Because if I'm going to be working with this person on a transaction, I want to have at least some kind of minimum relationship where we've spoken with one another. We've got been able to develop a little bit of rapport and a little bit of trust. At least begin to build that in the relationship. And the other thing I want to do is to say, hey, my buyers are considering making an offer. And we just want to hear about, what would be a win-win for your client. Obviously, they're listing it at this price, but if they haven't said anything else about, the seller's desires, I want to hear from that agent. What would be, as we're putting together and possibly putting together an offer, what would be a great closing date for your seller? What would work best for them? And get to know the seller's desires, what they're wanting out of this transaction. Ostensibly, we want to create a win-win for both sides as much as it's possible with us to do that. I heard somebody recently say, well, we want both sides to be disappointed equally. That's one way to put it. So, but we want a win-win. We want both sides to come away with the win. So I'm getting to know that listing agent and find out what the sellers are wanting. And then come back to my clients, my buyers, and then try to work something out that's commensurate with that. See if we can meet those needs for closing date and different things like that. The next thing I do is when, as a listing agent, as I'm representing the seller and I'm receiving offers in, I'm only taking seriously those offers that come with a pre-qualification if it's going to be a finance sale. And so I'm on the phone, I'm calling those lenders, and I want to talk to those lenders because any monkey with a crayon can punch in, have a conversation and then say somebody's pre-qualified, right? But I want to know, have you started to see docs? Have you seen their income statements? Have you, different documentation? And I'm asking specific questions of that lender because I want to see how qualified that buyer is. And of course, a more qualified buyer, somebody who's got more skin in the game, they're putting more money in, they look better on paper. It looks like they're going to get through underwriting all right. I want to find that out up front because when I present that to my sellers, I'm going to say, I'm going to give them all those details. This offer might be offering a little bit more, but they're not, they look kind of shaky financially, as opposed to this one who it's a solid offer. It's what you're asking for, but they look more solid. I've spoken to the lender themselves. And these offers came in on a Saturday morning. So a lot of lenders are not going to be answering the phone on the weekend. I'll just say that right there. But some of the better ones will. And both of these did. They answered my calls on Saturday morning, their personal cell phones, or at least their business cell phones. And I had one afterwards say, David, thank you. I was blown away that the listing agent was calling me to ask me if my client how qualified my client looked, how good they looked on paper with their documentation. She said, I wish more realtors would do that. So that's something that, we want to do, to represent our clients. That's one of the things we can do, for best practices. Chris, is there anything else that you would add to that?
Now, as a listing agent, I mean, that is good practice because you don't want to get into the inspection period and have the buyer cancel. And it could be, they can say anything from an inspection that's unacceptable, but it could be that it's because of the loan that, and so got a little deal going right now where interest rates have gone up from when the buyer actually, first talked to the lender, and then now it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference in the payment, and buyers, what they were qualified before is not what they're qualified for now. And I don't know what's going to happen. There are some sellers that were getting price reductions and that is going to make up for the higher interest rates. But yeah, it's really good to check with that lender and just see how solid that buyer is.
Yeah. And so, Chris, what could potentially happen there? I mean, because obviously they were so tight with their financing that just a little change in the interest rate and their payment has possibly put this deal into jeopardy. Now,
Right.
Your sellers, of course, they don't want to jeopardize this deal. So, I mean, what kind of conversations are you going to have now with them if that buyer is not qualified?
The next thing that buyer needs to do is also get insurance lined up because between the increase in interest rates and also insurance, roofs are a huge issue right now. Because if they can't get homeowners insurance, they can't get a loan. I mean, that's one of the requirements to getting a home loan is that you have to have homeowners insurance. So that's another thing, like during that inspection period, you want to make sure that that buyer gets their insurance agent out there so that it doesn't come to bite you in on the, on the backside.
Yeah, that's right. I think on this call, I think we could say, but it's okay. Just laying that out there. Just teasing. Yeah, and so as by representing our clients properly, we're doing everything again as far as it is with us to protect them and make sure that the buyers who want to purchase their property are as solid as possible. Now, Chris, you brought up another thing that's come up, and it was recently in a transaction that is closing tomorrow in the name of Jesus. And but the roof inspection came back bad. And my seller was like, what is going on? I just had a roofer out here a couple months ago, and they said it was fine. I mean, there was a little bit, but they didn't think that the insurance would cover it. But now this inspection from the buyer is coming back, and we're looking at the pictures, and it's like, oh my gosh, this wasn't like this a couple months ago, at least not from the roofer that I had go up there. And if you go have a roofer go take it your look and they say there's nothing wrong, there's probably nothing wrong, because the roofers are going to look for anything to try to get work. That's how they make money. So here she was, and now she's filing a claim. And finally, after 2 weeks, fortunately we had 2 months out from closing. After 2 weeks, they sent a third-party appraiser out there to look at the roof and took pictures, and her roofer guy that our guy Sean from our office was up there with the inspector, and the inspector and he are like, yeah, this looks bad. Your company of course is gonna cover this. And the guy's like, well, I'm a third party, I don't work with the company, but it looks pretty bad. They should cover it. And finally, and the insurance company just slow walked this inspection, from their person. And finally, my seller just kept calling them hour after hour. Finally, they got back to her, and they declined the claim. So here she was. Yes, it was horrible. And it was a cheap insurance company they got, and a no name. You've never heard of the name. I haven't heard of it anyway at the time. And they denied it. And everybody's flabbergasted. It's obvious, and typically what, the lesser quality insurance companies will do is they'll initially deny any claim, and make their customer go through hoops and push and call and complain, and then and these companies know that most people will get worn out trying to get them to accept the claim. And that's what they're counting on. And yes, your client might be able to get a lower cost for insurance, but if it's not a good quality, well-known, solid company that's insuring them, it's more likely that they're not, yes, they're going to pay less for insurance, but it's more likely that they're not going to cover them when something catastrophic happens, unfortunately. Or undercovered them. So we want to have real good insurance people that we can connect them with. And
this time of year with the hailstorms, and we have the wind, insurance, getting that roof checked is really important. And I had a deal where the seller, through the inspections, the seller needed to replace the roof, unlike yours where they said it was okay. And the buyer ended up, that was part of our negotiation. The seller filed a claim, but the buyer paid the deductible. And so that worked out really slick. So I think that it was $2,000, and my buyer Venmoed the money right away. But they got a new roof for $2,000, and you can't beat that.
That's great. That's great. So you were representing the buyer or the seller, Chris?
Yep, the buyer.
Okay. Yeah, that worked out great. Great job negotiating that. I hadn't considered something like that, but that's a new tool I have in my toolbox that, to keep in mind when there's the roof might be questionable if it's an older roof. Let's put that into the terms ahead of time, because we know that roof is going to be inspected, and we know that buyer is going to want that roof is solid before they purchase it, before they move in. That's great. So as it turns out, my seller had to purchase a whole new roof for her home, unfortunately. And unfortunately, she went with a discount. I tried to get her to go with Sean or somebody that, you want to recommend more than one person. So if it doesn't work out and it comes to money, they don't say, well, you recommended this person. So you want to say, here's a couple of names, and so you're not, you can't come back in a lawsuit to be blamed for recommending that person who was negligent or something like that. I've heard of horrible things happening. It's never happened to me by the grace of God or anybody that I know personally, but it has happened. But so she went with a discount person. She saved about $1,000 with this discount person. They put on the roof, but while they were installing it, they stepped through the roof and into the cathedral ceiling into her living room.
Oh no.
So, and this is horrible. They repaired it, but they said they weren't liable to paint it because the wood was rotten.
Oh,
that's what
man.
they told them. Yeah, very. I'd never heard of these people before, and I hope I never hear from them again. But they should have painted it. Right, your guy stepped through. You caused the damage. You want your name. You don't want to quibble over little minutia. You want to have a solid reputation, and those guys are not. I ran it by Sean. He's like, oh, we would have absolutely painted that thing, but that's why we have quality preferred vendors, people whom we can recommend. And again, cover yourself. Don't just give one name, so I gave her two names. I gave her Sean's name and another guy's name that I know as well, who's done work for my mom. So I was confident with both of them, but at the end, she's the one that decides, right? My client is the one who decides. She's not just going with the one person that I gave her. Do you follow? Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, so we're looking forward to the end of that closing happening. And yeah. So another thing on this most recent one that's closing in a couple of weeks, this is a home that it's a part of a quad, a fourplex, but it's owned singly. Each unit is owned by a different person. And my client wanted to sell his portion, and he hadn't done anything to it for about 12 years. He hadn't seen it. He's been out of the state for 12 years, hasn't seen it. And it's pretty rough. It needs new carpeting, probably some flooring, definitely, of course, painting, drywall repair. It might need more, but I don't know. I can't see, I'm not looking at it as fully and as detailed as an inspector might. So I knew that there's some stuff. When somebody's buying a property for about $100,000, you just got to know that there's going to be some stuff that needs to be done, and it could be a few $1,000s at least that needs to be done. And you just take that as part of your investment strategy. You just know that there's an unknown amount that you can't see that might need to be done. And so this buyer was an investor. So that's what I like. I wanted somebody with an investor mindset buying this, because I had other people who wanted, families that were interested. And I just talked to the agent. I said, hey, here's what you're looking at. You're going to look at all of this stuff. And if it's a new home buyer buying this for the first time, it might not be the greatest their first experience, great first experience for them buying a home for them and their family. So I wanted an investor who had the wherewithal, who had the experience, and knows that there could be some stuff that comes up. So I was able to negotiate a box 2 for my client. So that means a box 2, and Chris, add anything or correct me if I'm wrong, but a box 2, that buyer can do an inspection, but they cannot use that inspection to cancel the contract.
Right.
Right.
True.
Yeah. And so that's great. You guys go ahead and get an inspection, but if you find something that's several $1,000s wrong that needs to be done, you can't come back to me and expect my sellers to pay for that or use it as a pretense to, get out of the contract. You're locked in. You knew the deal coming in, that this is a rough home. It hasn't been touched in over a dozen years. And there's and I'm telling you, there's going to be stuff that needs to be done. Right. I don't know exactly what it is. You'll eventually find that out, but I don't know. I'm a realtor. I'm not an inspector. I'm not a structural engineer, what have you. So does that posture sound about right, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to figure
Okay.
this out now.
That's all right. All right. Any questions, Fatuma or Jason or Aaron?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question. I mean, it's more like, we were talking about limiting beliefs last week, I think, or a couple weeks ago. So by the grace of God, we closed on our house, and so it's been actually kind of busy this week. And then I'm having to go through the orientation soon. And I went to the MLS website, and I saw all these different tags. And one thing that I know that I am not the best at is I am not the best delegator, because I have had to do so many things myself that I realize that delegating is really an issue, and I'm learning to do that too. I know it enough that I know that I need to receive instructions as to how to be a good delegator, that I want to do business without doing busyness. And so, what are some advices that y'all have?
The first thing is you're aware of it and you've admitted it, right?
Okay.
That's the first step in overcoming any stronghold. Admit that there's a problem, right? And God will always allow you to go through circumstances that will push up against what you think you're capable of doing, in order to show how reliant you are on yourself, right? This is from a recovering control freak right here. And then having the humility to delegate it, or, ask for help on it. That's something I think I've gotten good at, because I've recognized that I'm a Lone Ranger kind of person by nature. I like to be in control of things, all of that. You should see the way I like to keep my car and my office, all of that stuff. And those are my sanctuaries where I can have everything perfect. But I realize that I can't do that in the kitchen, where I'm sharing, it with other people, or in a deal, there was a time when I didn't want anybody to think, this years ago, when I didn't want anybody to think that I wasn't capable of doing something all by myself, that I didn't have the skills or the ability to do it. So I've gotten much better over the years of asking for help. Chris, I'll call her on things. Even if I feel fairly confident about something, I will run it by somebody, Chris, Wes, Chris Pinion, other people whom I know and trust, to say, hey, what do you think? This is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts? What am I missing? And I shared this, Chris, with the team this last week. I think you were doing something with Larry, and I said, Chris, this is how I handle this, and this is how I handle this, and I'm not sure if I handle this right. I think I might have been too much. What do you think? And I told Chris the specifics of it, and she's like, yeah, David, you were too much there. Do you remember that, Chris?
No.
With
I was
Matt?
there Tuesday. Yeah.
What's
no,
that?
I don't remember that. I was at the meeting on Tuesday.
Well,
Um,
yeah, but the previous Tuesday, the previous team meeting,
oh, okay, yeah, because this last week was ALC.
correct? But the
Yeah,
one
and
before that, the
yeah, the
one
one
before
before I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't
that,
there.
and that's
Yeah.
fine. But I was giving you kudos again by, because I said, Chris, I want you to shoot me straight. And Chris is real good. You don't even have to ask her to shoot straight. She just
Uh,
will. But I like to do it. I'm preparing myself when I do that. And so she did. And she said, yeah, David, you were too much. And so,
oh
do
yeah.
you remember that?
Okay. I do kind of remember. Yeah, and I've been told our MCA from 10 years ago told me that I was too direct. I didn't have any I didn't have any fluff. And it's like I don't like getting fluff to me. And and I'm sorry if I'm direct to people, but it's like it is what it is. I
Yeah.
am who I am.
If you want good experienced advice and wisdom, ask Chris, but you have to have a tough skin because she's going to give it to you direct. And that's what you want. If you want to get better, you have to be willing to take, the hard feedback, right? Even if it doesn't make you look good or feel good. If you want to get better, that those are the kind of people you need to have at your, uh, fingertips to be able to ask for. And Chris is one of those. She'll do it. She'll do it. So
I
I want to get
appreciate
better.
that.
I want to get better as an agent. So I'm willing to take the bloody nose sometimes. Right.
I thank you. This is really helping. Another thing that I'm recognizing is given your diligence and then you actually put in the work, right? How long, because I see you guys are successful, you have a grasp as to what you're doing. I can sense that from the way you speak. And I want to know, when you first started, how long did it take you to get a grasp, and not given your diligence to get a grasp of not feeling that anxiety? Because I do not like not understand, like I don't like not knowing, but you know what I'm saying? Like I don't like being the new kid on the block. I've had to learn a new language, so I want to feel confident to I want the excellence that I need to feel confidence in this. And I know, how long did it take you to feel like, okay, I can walk in and say I'm a realtor and feel like, how long did that take?
Chris, do you want to shoot that first and then I'll follow up?
Even as long as I've done it, Fatima, there are times that you're dealing with real estate where there are no two properties that are exactly the same, and you're dealing with people, and people have emotions, and it's like you just I can say now, I mean, there's people that right now I'm dealing with that they seem real nice, and then all of a sudden it's like I go from I'm doing everything, everything is going good, and then now it's like I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I needed to have their house under contract 2 weeks ago, and it's like, so all you can do is just, you have access to information, and all you can do is provide information and what I read today is, so if you do three open houses and really no one comes, don't keep doing open houses. Do something else. If you're getting activity, what I'm doing on social media, I'm getting a lot of people looking, but I'm not getting them in the door. So I've got to figure out how in the world I can, and I don't know, is it a price reduction? Is it, I'm doing new photos for the third time, but it's going to be after everything is moved out this time. But it's like, and sometimes it's like, it depends on the situation. If you're working with family, they're more understanding, and you get that confidence because they know, trust, and they love you. And you just get it sooner than working with a stranger that you don't know anything about.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's never a point where you graduate, Fatima. You know, you decide if you're going to quit the classroom, that's on you, but the classroom is always there. You're hearing Chris. She's having to learn and adapt even after 33 years of doing this, right? But she also has the confidence of knowing, hey, I know my stuff. I've done transactions before. I've worked with people. I've gone through, I've got all the cuts and scrapes, to show for it. And that will come with time. And Fatuma, a lot of times people ask that question that you're asking. It's like, when will I finally feel competent? And I don't like to give, it'll be 3 months. It'll be after 4 transactions. It'll be this, because then that locks in like a limiting belief, right? Oh, I can't do it because it hasn't been 3 months. It hasn't been the time he told me, or I haven't done as many transactions as I heard, right? So you decide. And while you're not feeling all the confidence that you wish you would, leverage all of us, leverage this whole team. You have a whole team of people to hey, your client gives you something that stumps you. That's a great question. I'm going to contact my team and see what they have to say too before I give you an answer.
That's really amazing. So I appreciate that. So really what I'm really hearing you guys say is, because I was a former nurse, and so I am really not dealing as it is up to me as far as when it comes to the paperwork and stuff that will come, because it comes practice makes perfect. But as far as I have entered into basically a field in which I am basically dealing with humanity. So I am going to deal, every day will be different, because every day, as different as people are, is as different as an experience I'm going to have for as long as I do these things. So I just have to understand that it's going to go like that. And so that I am dealing with humanity basically in this business. And so I have to know the person. I'm dealing with souls. So if I just understand that I'm dealing with individuals that have individualities, then I'm going to be prepared to have basically it's not a 9 to 5. It's not an everyday, everything is the same. So you guys saying that to me is giving me comfort, because you're telling me, hey, you're going to have challenges, but all of us are having challenges even now. And so it makes me feel like, okay, well, then if the challenge comes, then I have to overcome it, and I will, because it is still happening to even somebody who's an expert at this field. And so that makes me feel better. So I think,
Fatuma, I have a question. When you first started being a nurse, did you take blood pressure perfect? Did you know how to work the whatever, I don't even know, the blood pressure machine? I mean,
it's true. I was as nervous as I am now.
My husband, I mean, he has gone to all kinds of doctors, and last week I wasn't there, and the gal she was taking the normal person, she wasn't there, and this gal, she couldn't even take his blood pressure, and he's like, oh my God, this is, I mean, he was trying to tell her, I think, and it's like, okay, but that's, you just learn experience. The more you do it, now you could probably do it perfect every time.
Yeah. That's true.
Thank you.
Sure. And and I love your desire to do it well. You want to have control over everything. You want to do everything perfectly. And the Lord we use that if we surrender that to Him. And then, but take that desire for excellence, right, and bring it. And I know that's what you want to do. You want to be a realtor who serves her clients with excellence, right? And we want you to, and we should all be striving that, while realizing that we're going to make mistakes in the future. We don't use that as an excuse, but even if we do everything, the very best of our ability, things are going to happen. And so, we're again leveraging one another. Hey, I want to do this with excellence. I want to do, and one of the things I love about Keller Williams is Gary's constantly pushing best practices, and the leadership is constantly, we want to do everything with excellence. We want to serve our clients with excellence. We want to come away at the end of the day, at the end of a transaction, at the end of a closing, saying, I did it. I did this with excellence, this with excellence, this with excellence. This I need to work on a little bit. I wish I had done this a little bit better. And this is how I could have done it a little bit better. And so I bring that into the next transaction. Right? I'm learning constantly, and I'm bringing those skills, those new skills, and that constant desire for excellence and to serve the client just like I wish I was served. I've over the years of buying and selling homes, not as a realtor, just as a client, I've had some bad realtors and I've had some good realtors who had some glaring deficiencies. And so I don't want to be that kind of realtor. I want to do it with excellence. But always, if and when I make a mistake with a client, I own it. And that's tough sometimes because you want to be the perfect realtor. And but if you own it, most people will appreciate the humility as long as you fix it. As long as there's a workaround somehow to fix it. So
that's really helpful. I really appreciate those words. Thank you.
Okay, we got anything else this morning? Is that your dog, Aaron?
What's that?
I thought I heard a little yelp in the background.
Am I still muted? I think I'm muted.
You unmuted for a minute.
Oh yeah, that was probably. We're loading them into the house. I've got 2 puppies in my arms right now.
All right. Well, stay on task, brother. Stay on task.
I'm almost done. Almost
all right.
done. Oh yeah, how did I mute? That's weird. Okay, yeah, okay, I unmuted. So I'm pretty much done now. Did you want me to tell you about the?
Yeah, man. Tell us about
I want to hear how your thing is coming along.
Well, they're in inspections now. So it was on basically, there's 2 types of ideals. Sayla, this is it. We can go. There's 2 types of ideals, right? You price it high to try to get the best dollar for your seller, whatever the market allows, obviously. Or you price it just a little bit more middle of the road and hopefully you get multiple offers on it. Mm-hmm. And that's the strategy that I was shooting with. Luckily, my client trusted me in that theory. And it's just, again, it's the neighborhood. It's what I was looking at. It was all that stuff, right? I mean, there's a lot of factors that I was kind of taking in play with it, and just the fact that I know the area, all that stuff. So we listed it at $350. It was obviously coming soon for, like 3 weeks. It took her at least to get to get the stuff done. And then started getting people calling in, trying to set appointments before it was live. We did like a pre-open block party house kind of thing, which was okay. Had about 9 or 10 people show up to that. And then Saturday had a few more people show up to the actual open house. And then had a couple agents had said they wanted to make a full price offer on it, which was good. So within 72 hours, I had 2 agents wanting to do full price offer. So I basically, I wouldn't say I pitted the other agents, but I just used that to kind of my advantage to say, hey, there are supposed to be people submitting multiple offers. So I'm going to take the highest and best by 5 o'clock on Sunday, and I'll let you know who wins. And I said that to both people. So in that meantime, or both the two or three agents that were wanting to put it, that had told me they were going to put a full price offer in. So then by 10 o'clock Sunday morning, one of the agents reached out to me and said, hey, my client's really interested in the house. We'd like to set this offer. And, I said, okay, well, that's great. You want to do an escalation on it? That's fine. You can do that too. And I was kind of surprised that they said yes. So they actually said they were willing to do an escalation at $1,000 increments, which I thought was a little low when you're talking $350,000, but whatever. All the way up to 380. So my thinking was, and I was talking with Sharon about this as well. My thinking was, okay, so the potential buyer of this property is willing to go up to 380 for this property. So I was happy with that. So in the meantime, I reached back out to the other agents that were saying they were going to give an offer. And I said, hey, just letting you know, blah, blah, blah. And they said, okay, well, we're talking with our, client now. We'll be back in touch. Meantime, I went back to my client and I told them, they're all ecstatic. Oh, do you think it'll go for 380? And I said, no, I don't. I said, I don't think it's going to get there, but if we get more, I said, what number? I said, I know 350 when we listed it, you weren't exactly happy. You just listened to me as me trying to help guide you. And she goes, if I could get 360, I'd be ecstatic. Well, the one person that was doing the escalation, that person happens to know somebody in the neighborhood, and that's how they heard about the open house. So that being said, we went back and I said, okay. I said, well, what do you want to do? And my client's like, I'd really love to see this house go to somebody that knows somebody in the neighborhood already. And I said, okay, well, I said, I can't guarantee that, but let me see what I can do. So I reached back out to the same person who wrote the offer with the escalation. And I said, hey, what would you guys feel about just giving us 360 and we'll accept your contract unless something else comes crazy in. But at this point, nothing else had come in. This was only other agents saying that they were going to write an offer. Nobody had wrote an offer. This was Sunday at around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So we're within 5 to 7 hours of the deadline. So that being said, I said, if you guys do 360, we'll go under contract with you. And that, I'm just kind of paraphrasing. But anyway, so she went and talked to her client, and about 10 minutes later called me back and said, my client said, yep, we'll do 360. So instantly, and then in the meantime, I reached back out to the other ones. I said, where are you guys at on those offers? And they came back and said, oh, the husband and wife couldn't get on the same page. So I think we're going to have to hold off on writing the offers. So it went from having multiple offers to only one offer. And within 72 hours, I got it under contract and $10,000 more than we asked for. So there's the story. So my seller is extremely happy. I haven't got the inspection report back yet. But they said it went good. I don't know how they said it went good. I think one of them was there when the inspections happened, but who knows? So hopefully.
Aaron,
Yes.
Is it in its present condition too, or not?
No, we had that box marked, and so no. So,
Okay.
but she knows. I voiced that to the other agent, like, look, this is a widowed lady. She's taking care of everything. She's put a lot of money into it already. She doesn't really want to do much of fixing.
Okay.
The deck, honestly, I wouldn't stand on it. And if you look at it in the pictures, you can see why. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and say the deck doesn't pass, which I wouldn't be surprised. But I've also got a friend that builds decks, and he already priced me. I had him sent pictures, and it's probably half as much to do that deck as what the market deck people would quote. I mean, they'd probably want $15,000 to $20,000 for this deck, and my friend said he could do it for $8,200. So all that stuff, it's fun. It's fun to work a bunch of angles and everything. But the one thing that I could see is, I'm not going to lie about anything. It just happened to fall the way it happened to just fall because there was multiple offers. It just, none of them came to fruition except the one. But I could see how other agents in different places will lie and twist things around. I just, it really is present. I mean, it's not done yet, right? But, it really is just about, taking care of the client and helping people, which I get more satisfaction. I get more satisfaction out of that once this closes, because you do really get to see somebody happy. And, that's just cool. So
Was that
that's
your
what I
first
got.
one, Aaron?
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, congratulations. This is amazing.
Well, you can say that once it closes, you can say that.
Well, in the name of Yeshua, let it close. Let us come in agreement and
But
shall be
they-
done. That's amazing.
Oh, and that's the other thing too that I'll say, since you brought that up. I just didn't think about it. My client was also under, she wanted to be out by the end of June, like this wrapped up and closed. So literally like 35 days, 40 days to do it all, which is pretty fast. And so I told her, I said, everything, that's why she was okay with the 350, right? I said, if you want to move this thing fast, we could price it higher, but it may sit longer and you may not, and then you don't want to, then you're going to drop it and it's going to look weird. So it did all work out, and hopefully it all goes through and everything works out. So, which I think it will.
Great job.
And yeah, awesome job. And I know this is more than just a commission, and it's even more than helping this woman. This was a big deal for you personally. I have to get into all that, but sometimes you're going through stuff in your life, things have happened to you, and it just seems like you keep getting a hit to the face, a hit to the belly, all of that stuff. And you just it's like you start just questioning a lot of things, and then it's amazing how getting a client, helping a client, and then going under contract, how that can help change your whole mindset. Is that, how's that been for you, Aaron?
Yeah, it's definitely been a positive. I think when I start seeing some other things pop in the pipeline because of that, then it'll kind of be more of like, okay, this is this can actually happen. Because I've been used to this style of stuff for my whole adult life, so I'm kind of used to it. But I am excited just to see, because the listings for me, I'd really much rather be in the listing business, than shopping around for buyers. But hey, I'll do whatever. I don't care.
Hey,
But the list,
Aaron,
yes.
so once it closes, I think you should send out just listed cards to like 100 houses. If that's an area you want to work, I have gotten like $700,000 listings off of, it costs like, now it's $108, I think, to send out 100 cards, but it's cheap to get another, like a $700,000 listing because agents aren't sending them. They used to send them all the time, but it's like, I still send them if it's an area that I want.
Now you're saying just listed or just under contract?
Just sold. No, when it's
Just
closing, just sold.
Okay,
That's a
that's a
great
good idea.
That's an excellent idea.
That neighborhood has 316 houses in it. And I sent snail mail, envelopes, personal invitations, handwritten notes, stuff like that, to every one of those people in that neighborhood. So that they've already got one hit from me. But that was a couple weeks ago now, or a week ago, I should say, they got that. But yeah, that's a great idea. I think I probably will do that. So remind me next time I see you.
Yeah, and I can show you who I use.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a big help. And again, I know that it's not necessarily the area I want to work it per se, but I'd much rather be a little closer to my house. But that's okay. At this point, it's all I've got, and it's actually been so far, just learning, like you guys were talking about the nightmare customers and the roofs that, insurance companies that don't want to pay roofs. I mean, it could have been a heck of a lot worse. So when you're just breaking your teeth in on something, it's nice to have people easy to work with on both sides. So far, I haven't had an issue from the other side either. So hopefully that will continue to go through, and just hopefully everything works out. And it's nice just to help people, because the people get in the house are excited, and the person selling the house is excited. So it's a win-win.
Yes.
Aaron, I want to say this. First of all, since I met you, you have spoken of the difficulties of real estate, because it was a struggle. And it is really, really wonderful to hear you say something positive about it, and you're speaking life and you're speaking hope. And I am very happy about that for you. And that means, because if you continue to speak life, you shall eat life. You shall have life. And so it's very wonderful to see you joyous, because I have seen the struggle. Like, it's like the questions you were asking and how it was hard for you, and you've been sticking it for like, you've been there for like a year or so. And it's really a joy to see your first hopeful words that you've been speaking, and I pray to see more of it in the name of Yeshua.
That's cool.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Good. Awesome. Great. Well, that's a good word, Fatuma. Thank you for that. That's good. Hey, do we have anything else this morning? Jason's still working on your K score, is that right?
Yeah, I'm just kind of just taking it all in. I'll be scheduling my exam tomorrow. Not scheduling it for tomorrow, but scheduling it sometime tomorrow.
Right.
So
let me know if you need a ride, Brett, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will, and definitely I will. So until figure out my car. But I got my wife figured out. Now I just need to get mine taken care of. But the
good.
But yeah, so gonna go in and take care of that tomorrow.
Okay.
And get that squared away and finally get that ball rolling. So
awesome, man. Listen, Jason, would you do me a favor and put on our private legacy page when you schedule it? Let us know. Put a post on there saying, "Hey, I scheduled my real estate exam," and put the date and time on there, so we can be rooting for you.
All right, on the so I think I'm a member of that page.
Facebook.
I think so.
Facebook, yeah.
The Facebook thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Rachel, double check and make sure you're on there.
I'm pretty sure that's the one that I've.
Are you a
joined
part
up
of the training one?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll make sure, if you let us know, we can post it for you.
Thanks, Rachel. Okay. Yes, that's the right way to do it. Yeah, and put it on the K score one too, and you can encourage all the other people on that K score one.
Yeah.
That hey, I'm done. I did my studying, and now I've scheduled my test. That'll help give them some encouragement as well.
Yep, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. All right, guys. It was awesome seeing everybody. Rooting for you, praying for you. Just know that we're a phone call or a text away if you need help with anything. We love y'all.
Thank you. Blessed be you. Shalom.
All right.
Take care, y'all.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
You too.